Ethical Perspectives on the News is produced by the Interreligious Council of Linn County, which is solely responsible for its content. The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of KCRG TV9.
Hi, good morning. This is LaSheila Yates. I'm here, one of the new hosts on Ethical Perspectives on the News, and I'm here joined by some amazing women that are here to share their stories. Today's topic, we're going to talk about ways that Black women or African American women thrive in majority white spaces. And by spaces, I mean employment situations, communities, public service, whatever it may be. And I'm here joined by some individuals I like to call my friends. We've known each other a while, and I'd like for them to have a opportunity to share, essentially who they are, what do they do, and also by participating in this show, what is one thing that they hope that the viewers like you would take away? And so I'm going to start with Berlinda to my left. I'll let her go ahead and introduce herself.
My name is Berlinda Owens. I'm an adult specialist at the Marion Public Library, and I was a formal CEO of Illuminate Life and Grief Coaching, located in Hiawatha, Iowa.
My name is Kimberly Fitten, and I am an author of The Science of Greatness, Taking the Guesswork Out of Purpose, and I'm an educator currently serving as one of the administrators in Iowa City for the Iowa City Community School District. I am also a purpose coach and serve in ministry.
My name is Sophia Mehaffey. I am Director of Community Health and Nutrition for Horizons of Family Service Alliance.
Thank you. So let's get into this topic a bit. The first question I want to have each of you go through, and feel free to jump in where you'd like to, is how do you personally define success? And how do you define it in the context of being an African American or Black female?
So success for me, I had to take it out of being an African American female and just see when I went home, was I okay with at the end of the day? And if there was still a longing, what was the purpose for me? And that aligned with the narrative that I had growing up, to be an example for kids that came from my struggle, to let them see that they can do it. I'm not an anomaly. And so that is where being an African American woman comes into play, because it is a underrepresented population in Iowa. So I was, for some children, the first Black female teacher they had or that they saw. And that makes more of an impact than people can imagine. So that is success to me, where I can increase legacy or the option of legacy for others when they see what I'm doing. And it's not limited by color, but it does weigh in on that. But that's as much as I allow it to, I think.
I guess I would just add, as Kimberly was talking, I was reminded of something my grandmother used to say, that I stand on the shoulders of the women that came before me. And I'd like to think that my grandmother was one of the women who really showed me what success was before I even knew it was something that could be as an African American Black woman. My grandmother was an entrepreneur. When I was a little girl, she had her own ice cream little station that she served she sold ice cream out of her house. She served fish sandwiches or fried chicken. And so she taught me that you could do more than with what you got. And so she always made me believe that there was always more. And I remember my grandmother being 50 years old, going back to school, getting her GED. And that really spoke volumes to me, that she set the pace for me, letting me know, you know what, you can be anything you want to. And I think so many times we as African American women, we think when we get to be a certain age that success stops because I'm at this age limit, but the sky is the limit. And so we need to take the barriers off and know that there's opportunities out there, and we can do anything we set our minds to.
I have to say, I'm really glad that you chose to be an educator. I grew up here, and I never had a black teacher that was a woman, ever. The first black woman in leadership that I knew was me. And I think there is something to be said for representation and how important that is in letting little girls know what they are capable of. I mean, really letting all children know what they're capable of. I think my background is a little bit different. I was a mother very early on. I had my first child shortly after I turned 16. And what success looks like for me is being to the fullest extent I am able, a good example of what my children are capable of, so that hopefully they will exceed whatever I accomplish.
I would just add, I went back to school and got my degree in psychology when my kids were in school, and so it took me a long time to actually get that degree because I went to night classes, and I came up against a lot of barriers. I remember my psychology professor telling me that I didn't have what it took, and so I should probably choose another major, because at the time it was asked of everybody in the class, what do you want to do with your psychology degree? And everybody, of course, was saying, I want to be a counselor. So when he came to me, I said, I want to be a counselor. And he said, you don't have what it takes to be a counselor.
I think we've all heard, you don't have what it takes. I think, and those are the moments that we revisit to say, oh, that's so cute. I do and exceed that. And then looking at the doors that are closed as a direction of where your talents are best suited. So you think you closed the door, but the universe had other plans where you're best suited. And I think the greatest thing about being an African American woman is the ingenuity that comes with it. So that's why when I hear you talk about your grandmother and the entrepreneur she was, using those strategies based on like our giftings. And I think a lot of my narrative is by being told no.
I would say, just even personally, I've experienced that and still going through a bit of that, even as redefining, what success means. Being an African American female with disabilities, you want to get out there, you want to try, and you do have a lot of doors that could be shut in your face, can be closed to you, but it's reframing that. I don't know, have any one of you reframed the way you've seen success? Kimberly, I'm sure it's, it's not like it's this, I see it as being a process. And so was there any part of your journey that has shifted the way that you think of success or view other black women as being successful?
Well, absolutely. Being a business owner for 7 years, owning my own life coaching practice, I came up against a lot of barriers. For one, I was like the first African American black woman within this area to actually become a life coach. So there was a lot of barriers that I had to overcome because, first of all, being black and trying to sell yourself, knowing who your targeted market was, but yet wasn't allowed the opportunities that other white life coaches were given. So at many times it was very discouraging, to the place that I found myself second guessing myself, saying, well, maybe this is not what I should be doing. Maybe I wasn't cut out for this. But I'm so glad that I aligned myself with other professional black women who knew who they were and where they were going, who empowered me to believe, keep going, don't give up. So I'm actually thankful that I stayed the course.
I think the bar for how I define success has changed many times. As a child in school, I was often told, oh, you're very smart, you're so intelligent, you can accomplish so much. And perceptions of me after I had children very young, immediately it was a very different response to me. I experienced very different things in terms of what people told me I was able to expect. There was a time when I moved to a new city and went to the assistant's office and spoke with the person there, and she said, well, what do you want to do with your life? And I said, I'd really like to go to college. And she said, well, you don't have enough time left on FIP to go to real college, so why don't you go to beauty school? And, you know, I think about that more than I care to this day. It was really impactful on me, being treated that way. I think that's probably part of why I'm so driven to prove people wrong.
So what do each of you kind of pull from when you're in those times where maybe that door is shut or you're passed over for a mixed opportunity? You know, I'm not originally from Iowa, but been here 12 years, and I've had some doors shut in my face, and I've also like, okay, you know what, I'm going to go above and beyond. But sometimes it gets difficult, and you don't know where you have the energy to pull that last bit of like hope, like have that story of hope. So what do you all, I guess, how do you, where do you pull from?
Oh, the Lord.
I
mean, the Lord. And then something I found, like, in our process, because I am not a Cedar Rapidian, and no matter what your ethnicity, if you grow up in Cedar Rapids, there is an unspoken, like, bond, like, you know, you have to prove yourself if you're an outsider, no matter what you're doing in the community. So I found it really hard to find a mentor in education, because it was very much so like a crab in a barrel type thing, or I want to be the significant Black person. And that was really hard for me, because I never saw any of my dominant culture counterparts having to fight with each other like, I want to be the smartest white man in the room. No, they just had that benefit of being who they are. And so that was really tough for me, because I was raised that it is your job to help someone else when they, you know, with what you didn't get help in. And so I did find that once I let that bitterness go and realized that not everybody is like that, and then, you know, just affirming that my tribe would come, that changed my perspective. Because when I was overlooked I was applying for administrative positions. And even though I would create strategies and implement stuff, and the data would show I was successful and the things I created were successful, there was one time someone presented my whole curriculum on a certain topic, and I was like, oh, and I was mad, and my mentor said, did you not put your name on it? No, you know, like little things like that, or meeting with other women, they're like, I've been there and this is what you can do. Have you ever thought of this option? And when I stopped focusing on the deficit, the whole world opened up. So the Lord and getting myself around people that would offer solutions and not be stingy with the help and correction. Because there is a language. There are politics everywhere you go, but there is a language to help people be successful, and you need to know that. And I think it's really huge that more African American women be open to sharing that information. That would really help a lot of people hang on.
I would agree that my faith has sustained me and has got me to where I am today. Looking back, I agree with you, Kim. If it had not been for God, I probably would have like folded many times. But I kept going back to what His promises are in the Word, which is the Bible, and I just hung on to those beliefs, and then just reminding me of what my grandmother overcame, the things that she went through, and how I saw her never giving up. And she was just like, you know, if there's a will, there's a way. And if somebody says no, you look for another creative way to open that door. But just because somebody closes their door doesn't necessarily means that you give up on your dream. And I think that is huge, that we remind the younger ladies that are coming behind us and the little girls who have dreams. Yes, you will have barriers, but don't give up on your dream. Keep persevering, because it might be you, the one person, who can make the difference. So that is very powerful.
So I find a lot of strength in a group of women who I have come to know over time. I say the first Black woman in leadership I knew was me, but I've met many others since then, thank goodness, including all of you. And I find a lot of strength in watching them be successful, in seeking advice from people who have dealt with some challenges that I may be going through. Additionally, I would say having opportunities to be a mentor for someone else, or to have conversations with someone who's, you know, just figuring life out and really helping them to sort of think about what's possible for them. There's a program through Medco called Brunch with the Boss, and I did Brunch with the Boss, and that was such an amazing experience because I got to talk to a young girl of color who was really interested in exploring the field of social work, and she said, "Can you tell me a little bit more about this?" And just, you know, being able to talk through some of that with her and, you know, see the excitement and the light and the future in her eyes was amazing.
Mm. I guess the biggest thing I would say, don't be afraid to fail. And I think so many times when we fail, we think that's the end. But one of the things, the biggest lesson I have learned is failure is success turned upside down. Mm-hmm. And so if I can just remember that and ask myself, what can I learn from this and how can I grow moving forward? It presents me with other opportunities that I'm not even aware of. And today is just one of those opportunities that I get to sit here and share my perspective.
Indeed. I definitely say just hearing those stories, because all of us are trying to figure out how we're going to navigate through this world. And some of us don't have someone that they can mutually touch or talk to. And so I definitely want, I needed to hear this for myself personally today, and I can say I'll be a bit selfish with that, because you just don't know who you're influencing. Mm-hmm. Someone's always looking. Mm-hmm. And so how would you give someone hope if they turned on the television and say, you know, I'm going to sit down and watch this show, what's in it for me? You know, what would you say to make that person know it's okay to fail, or that they can still have hope and an opportunity of a life beyond maybe what they thought was possible in their on their path to success, and they met a bunch of roadblocks? Like, how would you give that person hope?
Oh, this is great. Well, there are many people watching your journey and waiting for you to succeed, because they know what you've come from, and if you make it, then they know they can make it. I've been homeless. I've been stranded on another continent. I have been broke, lived in my car, and now I'm like an entrepreneur of like several businesses and doing what I love. After going back to school, you know, there's just so much of what people would identify as failure, or, man, give up on that kid, give up on that human being, or they can't make it. And none of those things, nor others' opinions, dictate how successful you can be. Mm-hmm. So in moments of trials, take it as, oh, this must be the chapter in my greatest story. I need this chapter to develop. And as Berlinda was saying, like, it's led me here. Mm-hmm. Oh, the places you will go. It's just like, what good book have you ever opened that didn't have an antagonist in some kind of way? Mm-hmm. And people read it by watching you every day, or watching you persevere in your story. And at the end, you get people you don't even know coming up to you and saying, oh, I'm so proud of you. Mm-hmm. And they're always rooting, but watching in silence, and that's it. Like, who you are now. And my favorite scripture says, for it does not yet appear what we shall be. Mm-hmm. And when it's over, though, we'll be something extraordinary. Mm-hmm. And that's it. People need to hear you that won't hear me. Mm-hmm. Need to hear you that will not hear me. So everyone is necessary. That's the hope. Your situation is not your destination.
Yeah. And I would just add to what Kimberly has said. In spite of everything that you go through, know that there is hope. I'm reminded of the scripture that says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy, it comes in the morning. So what you might have struggled with the day before, when you wake up, it's a new opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so if you can just keep that at the forefront, new opportunity, and who knows, you might be the next person sitting in this chair.
They covered that one really well.
Is there, well, first of all, thank you all for your transparency and being very authentic. Is there anything else that you really want to share to let people know, not just that they have to strive to make it through, but they can thrive in a community where maybe no one looks like them? Any tidbits or any pointers?
One of the things that I have learned on my journey is don't be afraid to ask for help. Be vulnerable. And when you're wrong, acknowledge you're wrong. Be humble. And don't forget to be kind, because everybody you meet is fighting a battle.
Yep.
Additionally, when given the opportunity, it's incredibly important to be willing to be an ally. If you see someone who is struggling, is feeling uncomfortable in the role that they've been asked to fulfill, isn't feeling like they're fitting in well, and they don't have anyone to reach out to, maybe even someone who's new in the workplace, that can be incredibly daunting for someone. So to have someone willing to reach out and have a conversation with you and take you to lunch and just make you not feel so alone is really important. Initially, one of the very first opportunities that I had to be in a leadership role was given to me by a white woman in the workplace, and it was in a huge company in corporate America. And I had just become an official employee maybe a week prior. I was a contract employee for over a year. So for her to give me that opportunity was amazing, not only because I felt like I'd had to try so hard to prove myself in that role, but because she believed I could do even more. So I believed it too.
Allies are really important. I just this is extraordinary, because at the point where I was thinking of giving up, where I just was like, okay, I'm going to be in this is going to be my identity. I'm going to be a teacher forever, not going to be anything else. And I remember I had a mentorship group, and I invited LaSheila, and that changed my perspective. And it only takes opening yourself up to gain another perspective that can change your whole life, and that's a great thing.
And I definitely say that opportunity, it was awesome. I would say some women that were doing, some young lady, probably young women now that still, they hadn't given up hope. And I saw the fact that you believed in them. You were exposing them to new opportunities. And I really hope that there still is an opportunity for a lot of those young black and girls have to connect with other leaders. And even as we are leading and on our path, it can be a bit lonely at times. And I know just giving up and saying like, hey, I'm just going to be in this set role. Others need to know that, like I would agree, it's a journey that you're going on. And if you just kind of getting back to the failure piece, that you're failing forward, and what can you take away from that missed opportunity or being passed over? Because I don't know. I'm not going to make it about me, but I will say this much. I just hope that if someone does see you all in a community, that they know that it's okay to come and talk to you personally, or even reach out to you. So the question would be, if someone were to come to you and to talk to you and ask for some advice, what would be, I would just say, one key takeaway that you want to instill in them, knowing that maybe that's your only opportunity that you'll see them and impact them?
Choose your own narrative.
Find a tribe of people who can help you get to where you want to go, and then pay it forward.
Mm-hmm. See people as people and not as objects.
I don't know, is there anything else to say? I do want to say this is my first show, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity, so I'm a bit nervous here. So if you see me a couple more times, I may have it a bit more together, but I feel like it's an awesome opportunity to be here and to share, to stand in the spotlight with some amazing women in our community, and just wanting you to know that this is, this platform is created, where this particular discussion creates a platform for African Americans to know they can make some valuable contributions. Even as a Black female myself, sometimes you do kind of get to the point where I'm gonna, you know what? I'll just say, I'll end it here and just say, are there any other last words, any other last comments? Because it really is, it's a little bit emotional for me right now, and I don't think it would be probably professional for me to get upset and cry, but I don't know, any other comments?
Oh, it gets exhausting, but self-care is super important. Mm-hmm. And so what I hear, and correct me, is that we need a safe space so that you can unload and then be refreshed. To know that, yes, it happens, and tomorrow will be tons better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The only other thing that I would say is it can be very easy in a majority white space to stay within your bubble, only know the people that you know, only understand the experiences that you are personally familiar with. But we are stronger through our diversity. We are stronger as a community. We are stronger as organizations if we understand each other and work to make those relationships, those conversations, and those efforts more complete by acknowledging the people that we live around.
Well, that's pretty much it. I just want to thank you all for viewing and thank the panelists for taping this show with me. So next time you'll see me, I won't have so many tears. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I don't know. That's pretty much it. Thank you.